Okay, we're going to start the finance meeting. We have two items on the agenda. First item on the agenda is the appropriation of changes. Amending ordinance number 2020-38, known as the 2020 permanent appropriations. Is that right, Carol? Isn't it the CARES Act? Yeah. Can I get a motion to get on the floor? Moved by Mr. Baird. Second by Mr. Tollett. Mayor Whitfield.
I can take it.
Okay. Well, this is what I'm confused about, because we're going through the appropriation changes. I didn't know if Mayor wanted to speak to about what these dollars are going to go to, but I guess, Ted, if you want to lead, and then the Mayor can follow.
I'll go through them and
okay.
Yeah. So there's four tonight. The first one being General Fund Clerk of Courts. They've requested moving $7,200 from salary and wages to their operating and maintenance account, so that's obviously a wash. The second one involves the local coronavirus relief fund, and as you know, as reported earlier, we're going to get another distribution probably this week, and that's going to be $1,937,174. So we're appropriating the bulk of that in salary and wages and benefits, and adding $100,000 to operating and maintenance per Assistant Safety Service Director Kevin Brubaker's request. And then Muni Court Special Collections, adding $2,900 to their operating and maintenance. That's one of the judge's special funds. And then Community Development Block Grant Fund, admin, per request from Ms. Scott, adding $41,174 to salary and wages, and $7,000 to benefits and pension.
Okay. Any questions for Finance Director Pileski, just in regards to what's being asked? Mr. Tollett?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. In the local coronavirus relief fund, have the specifics of that yet been spelled out? As in departments?
Oh, no, I don't. I do know that we are starting to work on journal entries for all those people that were on remote status pay. So the people that were at home and not working and paid, that money can be reimbursed with coronavirus monies. So, for example, if anybody in wastewater, water, general fund, if they were sent home or did not work and were not on call or were not working from home, we're going to move that money that was spent in those funds to the local coronavirus fund. So we're going to be working on that.
Do you have a ballpark of what that total is?
That's roughly about $1 million, I believe.
Okay. The $900,000 balance, will finance get to earmark to what department that goes to, or does it all go in the general fund?
Well, I believe that they've come out with a ruling. I think the mayor can probably add to this that police and fire wages can be taken from the coronavirus money.
I'm going to ask. I'm going to go ahead and ask. Can it be? Can 100,000 of it be used for the Parks and Rec Director's position?
As I stated before, if a person's responsibilities are 51% or more that are working toward coronavirus efforts, mitigating coronavirus, making things safe, then 100% of their wages can be taken from the coronavirus money.
So technically, then we couldn't use this towards police and fire reimbursement.
Well, according to the latest round, we can.
Even though they don't hit that 51% threshold?
I'll have the mayor. Mayor's been conversing with other mayors in the state and what have you, so I'll have him respond. But again, it could be used for Parks and Rec.
It could be used for that. Thank you.
Mayor Whitfield?
So, through you, Chair, a couple points of clarification. I think to the finance director's point, as long as a staff person's time is 51% of their time is dedicated toward pandemic relief, they can be considered substantially dedicated. We got language from the U.S. Treasury. They came out with new guidance. I think I emailed you all that new guidance that stated that all police and fire are considered substantially dedicated. So they already meet the 51% by nature of their job, that they're the first responders out there responding to the pandemic and keeping the community safe. So all police and fire can be, expenses can be reimbursed. So part of our recommendation was to utilize these funds to reimburse ourselves for the safety costs, which then would help us with our general fund, which would help us overall. And so we're trying to be responsible and not wasteful in this. And so, yeah, we got a great opportunity here to help us with our general fund by, reimbursing ourselves for any COVID-related expenses, including public safety forces.
So the answer to the question is we could use that for the Parks and Rec Director's position. That would be
If 51% of the time was spent on COVID-related things, then yes. But I don't, as I've mentioned in many conversations, I don't believe that there's enough work right now for a director position. And I'd really prefer and respect if we could move on from that, because we have some other financial issues that we're trying to deal with as a city, some other lagging indicators that we're dealing with after these PPP loans run out for small businesses. And so I would hope that our focus would be on shoring up our general fund and making sure we're solid going into the next year, that we're not wasteful in our spending, so that we're in this for the long haul. We're getting through this, and then we have another economic hit next year with Bendix. So instead of riding a wave, I'm recommending that we really think strategically about our expenditures and how we're organized as a city, so that we can save as much money as possible, so that we don't take our citizens on a roller coaster as well.
Mayor, I totally agree with you, but the citizens have spoken, and it's something that we do need to discuss. So it'll come up later on this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion in regard to, and I think to Ms. Mitchell's point, but I mean, I'll direct it to her, but I know there's been in the meetings that we've had in the past, and we said there was money in regards to the Parks Director, and I know you, Mayor, you want to move forward with something in a different direction, but I can tell you that this council is steadfast in bringing her back, and I think it's important. So there is money there in the COVID-19, whether it's out of this fund or whether it's out of a different fund, or actually it's out of the Parks Department fund. There's money in there to do that. Ms. Mitchell?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm not on this committee, so thank you for indulging me. I just need a little bit of clarification. So we have employees who were not furloughed, who were not working from home, yet they were still getting paid?
Correct.
Did I understand that correctly?
Correct. They were being paid. We created new accounts to track this in case when this all started, the Coronavirus Relief Act had not passed yet. So we created payroll accounts to track how people were being paid. And yes, there were people and there still are people that in certain departments that are home but not working and getting paid. So say, for example, if there's employees in the general fund that were not working, that were home not working, they were paid. Now we can reimburse the general fund and pay that out of the Coronavirus Act money.
So to the administration.
But the issue is that when the pandemic struck, this was so new to everybody. I mean, we couldn't. I don't think we could make the employees use sick time because they weren't sick. That we were just keeping them home to keep the spread of the disease, so, but it is covered by the CARES Act money.
If I may, Mr. Chair, so why were these employees not furloughed?
Well, they were furloughed, but
they're getting paid.
Well, there were other people. Okay, so there were people furloughed as well, and my office, for maybe half a dozen or more pays, my people were off 1 day per pay period, as is council clerk's office, and Muni Court did
Law Director's
3
Office.
days, 3 days. Now, Coronavirus Act money will also cover the furlough days.
Okay.
So now we have to go
Through-
back and
Through you,
charge.
I'm sorry, mine as well, my office as
Sorry.
well. That's okay.
Sorry. So now we can go back and charge the furlough days to the CARES Act money as well.
Okay.
So it covers two things. It covers the furlough days, and it covers remote status, and not when they weren't working and were being paid.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I don't begrudge anyone. This pandemic is unlike anything we've ever seen. I'm fortunate that I get to work from home as of right now, but I just needed clarification on that, so I thank you for that.
And through you, Chair, I'll share the example that the Finance Director was sharing around wastewater. So, and I'll let the Safety Service Director speak more to the safety implications of it, but part of it was, if our water team all got sick at once, the whole city wouldn't have water available to them. So we had to separate that team and allow some to work on a flexible schedule where some were off one day, some were in the office another day, and they kind of, Terry did a great job of managing that. And so that was how we handled that water group. And kudos to John and Ted for ensuring that was being tracked, because now we're in a position where the city is not losing financially because of it. But I'll let the Safety Service Director add if there's anything.
If I may, through the chair to members of the committee and attending council members, I know we've discussed this a little bit throughout the past few months, and at the beginning of all this, we weren't quite sure what we were dealing with. Before it was you can contracted by touching services or airborne, and so when we sent a lot of the employees home, it was jobs that just could not be done from home, and then they were quickly brought back, probably within a few weeks, to the point now where the number is very, very low, if any. And a lot of it is out of wastewater just because we had a few positive cases. We sent them home, a little bit to what the mayor had just said about keeping them safe and keeping our operators. When there's jobs that you need a Class 3 license to operate, you can't just find them readily available. It takes time to find them. So we want to make sure we're safe and still providing water, wastewater services to the residents. So the number, as we've spoken before, is very, very low now compared to what it was back in March, and that quickly took a sharp decline. So it was out of safety, and we brought everyone back as quickly and safely as we could. And I think, looking back, I think that was still the right decision to make.
I think, I would dovetail what everyone else has said in regards to that. But so in saying that, how many of those individuals now are we still in that program? I mean, at what point are we bringing utilities back? I know that they're doing their services from home, but are they planning on coming back into the building?
Through the chair, so there's two different statuses. There's working from home and then remote status. The status that Finance Director Pulaski is talking about is the remote status, meaning that they could not do that function from home.
Sure.
Those that are working from home being tracked. The goal is to bring them back once we have the office set up and bringing them back slowly to making sure. Because right now the bullpen for utilities is probably one of the tougher office setups in City Hall, just because they are all on top of each other. But we've bought the plexiglass placards and trying to make sure that we bring them back. But we, opened up City Hall, bringing them back slowly and making sure they're safe, but the services are still being rendered and provided to the residents. So
then how many more on remote status?
I'm guessing just a handful. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but wastewater, probably, I would say around 10, if not less than that, and really it's just the operators. We had a few positive cases within the last 8 weeks, and we wanted to make sure that was out of the system and out of the area before we brought them back. But really, that's the only department we've had some trouble, which is odd in and of itself, because everyone knows Superintendent Corzan is on top of the ball and will give you more information than you would ever think that is out there, and he's been on top of it. And for it to hit his department is probably more ironic than anything. But we've been getting them back healthy. They've been positive, and still providing the services that are needed to the citizens. So,
very good. Is there any other discussion?
Yeah, I got one more comment through you, Chair, around utilities. I definitely want to give kudos to Deborah Connor and how their team has adapted toward this, because, they haven't missed a beat. They've continued to serve our residents, been very responsive to them, even through working from home. They've still been very responsive. They've also been our central intake, as you can see now with the partial opening of City Hall. And I've asked Director Connor to come present to you all at some point to give you all feedback of the traffic that they've seen since opening City Hall. So definitely want to give them a shout out for the hard work.
Okay, very good. Is there any other discussion? Can I call for the question? Question's been called. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Item number 2. We've considered the matter of purchasing tasers for the Elyria Police Department, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for bids to purchase tasers for Elyria Police Department and enter into a contract. Standard emergency applies. Can I get a motion to get it on the floor? Moved by Mr. Baird.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Jesse. Director Firestein.
Through the chair to members of the committee, I appreciate you putting this on the agenda and working with us on this deadline. Working with the Elyria Police Department and trying to get this program out for bid and making sure we hit our deadlines before the end of the year was very crucial. We're looking to split this among 2 departments, Police Levy Fund, Operating and Maintenance Account, and then under the Operating and Maintenance Account under the Issue 6 funds as well. Those are the 2 accounts we look to split this out of. We will be putting out for bid, and hopefully by the end of the month, if not early next month, we will have the bids and hopefully an award if the committee here is gracious enough to grant us the approval to move forward on it.
Okay. Chief Whiteley, do you want to add anything more? The importance of this?
It's extremely important. It is a valuable less than lethal tool for us to use that we can de-escalate quickly and get people under control. The officers don't overuse it. I think last year we had like 23 uses for the entire year for the whole department. So it's not overboard, but it is important that we have that option. So if anybody has any questions, I can try to answer it for you.
Any questions for the chief? Mr. Tollett.
Just one quick question, Chief. Are these tasers the type that are fired like a pistol
Yes.
or touched?
Both. You can use them
Okay.
both ways.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the committee? Not a call for the question. Question's been called. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Thank you.
The committee, I entertain a motion for adjournment. Moved by Mr. Baird.
Second.
Second by Mr. Jesse. Any further discussion? Question's been called. Those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Meeting adjourned.
When did they call? Oh, you asked, because I come in here because I'm early. I come in here almost 9 minutes late because I didn't even know nothing about it. I've been watching my phone all day long. I didn't see it.
Thank you for, I know, me too. But I remember Bruce told us last weekend about P&G? I got this and another, I got a navy blue with the blue and white jacket, $21.99 for both of them.